The SANS Institute, the most trusted source for computer security certification training and research. Visit SANS.org to explore their full curriculum and latest training offerings. Gain control of cyber risk with Tenable.io, the first vulnerability management platform built for today's elastic assets like cloud, containers, and web apps. Discover a fresh, asset-based approach that prioritizes vulnerabilities while seamlessly integrating into your environment. And improve ROI with the first elastic licensing approach based on assets, not IP addresses. Tenable.io delivers the data and context you need to secure your elastic attack surface. Start your free Tenable.io trial today by visiting Tenable.io. NetSparker, the developers of desktop and cloud-based web application security scanners that enable you to automatically identify vulnerabilities in your web applications and web services. NetSparker scanners employ a unique and dead-accurate vulnerability scanning engine that automatically verifies vulnerabilities with their proof of concept. For more information, visit them on the web at netsparker.com or email at contact@netsparker.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Paul Security Weekly. This is our technical segment about staying secure at hacker conferences. First, a quick announcement. ITPro.tv's courses now include ITIL Managing the Lifecycle and Microsoft Hello for Business. Premium annual memberships to ITPro.tv include all video content, as well as access to virtual labs and Q&A forums. Now, pay attention, because this is a limited time offer, as I learned today, actually. You'd normally pay $85.70 a month or $857 per year for all of this access to all this awesome stuff. But we've got a special offer. For a limited time, get 50% off a monthly membership for the lifetime of your active subscription. And the news here is it could be ending soon-ish. So make sure you take advantage of that. itpro.tv/Security Weekly. The discount code is SS50. Take advantage of that now, because as the advertisement says, it's a limited time only. So make sure you go do that. Alrighty. I want to start first with a story. Have any of you guys ever had your laptop stolen?
Yep, definitely.
Carlos, no? Oh, Carlos, you're muted there. Carlos, you there? Oh, there you are.
Am I still? No, I have not.
Okay. So, Joff, you have, right? Fortunately, I have.
Yeah, I have.
I have not. I have had my phone stolen twice. Well, I think it was stolen twice. I actually lost it and then couldn't recover it once. I was in a parking lot of a sushi place. The other time, I was running into the event center in Providence, and it got lost. So I have lost my phone twice. It's an awful feeling, right, when you lose a piece of your own personal technology. And I won't say anyone's name here because it's really not relevant. But there are people that you would probably recognize in computer security that I happen to be friends with. That one of them was telling me a story. And they were at a conference outside of the U.S., and they were taken to the conference venue, and the conference venue said, hey, we have the secure room. You can leave your bags with your laptops in them. You know, leave all of your stuff here in this room. This is your speaker room. You're going to be hanging out for the day. You know, hey, leave your stuff here so you're more comfortable. And then we're going to take you to the vendor area, and we're going to introduce you to some of the vendors, and then take you back. And all of that, like, you know, vendor showboating took about 45 minutes. Like, it wasn't that long. And they brought them back into the room. And the room had an armed guard posted in front of the room where all of their stuff was, so that people felt safe. And my friend says, well, my laptop, I got back and I couldn't find my laptop. So he's like, I must have left the laptop in the safe at my room, which we'll get to, and went to his room and was like, it's not there, and was walking back and got a text from his other friend who had his bag in his room and said, hey, did you take my laptop? Because it's not in my bag. And, like, did you take with it, like, to mess with me? Because that's totally something, like, we would do, right? Like, Joff or Carlos, like, we'd be at a conference and, like joking around. We'd take each other's laptop to just see the panic that would ensue for a while and, like, then give it back, right? And he's like, no, I didn't. And it turns out that the guard was in on the whole thing, let some people in there. Now, there was, like, a dozen people, let's say, who had their stuff inside the room. And the two people that had Apple Mac computers, you know, MacBook Pros or whatever, were the only two people that lost their stuff. And, you know, outside of the U.S., I think Carlos can somewhat attest to this, right? Like, getting Apple products outside of the U.S. can sometimes be very problematic. So they're a hot commodity, so they probably fetched a much higher value. So to limit their time and maximize their profit, they just took the 2 Macs that were available to them at the time and got out really fast. And that is like a story that you want to hear told about someone that's not you, right? When you go to hacker conferences, it's really bad. Now, both being security professionals, both the hard drives were encrypted and all that stuff, so it wasn't so much about access to the data. It's the fact that it sucks, dude, to lose your laptop. Had they not encrypted the hard drive like we covered in the previous segment, it could have been worse. Most of the time, I mean, depending on the situation, a lot of times, they're just after the value probably in this situation of your particular device. So when we talk about staying secure at a hacker conference, any conference, not just a hacker conference, anytime you travel, it's very important to protect your stuff. So that's a really good story, like I said, that you want to be told about someone who's not you. And Ed Scotus is actually one of those people that anytime you see Ed, like he always has his laptop on him. And to a point where you're like, really? But then you hear that story about my friends, and you're like, no, like Ed's got it right. Like you should always have your laptop like on you.
Never put it in a backpack and just keep it on your body.
Right.
It's I've had that experience. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. Naturally, you take the appropriate defensive mechanisms, which everybody should take now, and make sure you have full disk encryption on, enabled on your laptop. But it's still possible to lose it, and it's a terrible, terrible feeling when that happens. But it does happen.
Absolutely. So number 11 on our list. My advice is to never plug your device, phone or I guess not a laptop, more so a phone, into those public charging stations. And I actually, in this case, I always remember like Dave Kennedy going to the news and talking about this particular subject, and he did a great job in talking about it. We've covered articles on the show, and every time I pass by any kind of public charging station, like I just kind of cringe, right? Because I still think today it's a very real possibility that whatever that charging station is could be basically not Trojaned, I guess, but have some nefarious technology in there that is going to read from your device. There was a TV show where they did this too. I don't remember which one it was. So it was a really bad TV show that had an example of that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, well, just for clarification, you're speaking of a public charging station that requires you to plug in with USB. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Are there other types?
Well, I mean, you can always plug into just a regular old power outlet, and that's, much less risk, right? But,
yeah, no, you're right. A USB charging station. Yes, you're right, Jeff. Correct.
Right. I mean, and the just to sort of spell it out for people, the issue is it's not just about charging on your system. There are, another 2 connectors there that transmit data. And so if you plug in to this unknown USB port, there's every chance that data can be transmitted across those other 2 connections.
Here's my suggestion. And actually, one of the conferences that we went to this year, I realized I left my battery charging pack at home. And battery packs for your tablets and smartphones are a lot more ubiquitous than they were 10 years ago or whatever, right? Like you can get these, and you can buy them in the convenience store now, right? And have for some time, right? I carried now 2 with me because I think that my new Chromebook, while it won't charge off of it, I think it'll maintain power. I haven't fully tested it, but it'll maintain power on my Chromebook. It'll certainly, the 2 that I carry, probably charge my phone, which is a Google Pixel, not the XL, but the smaller one, pretty much twice off of one of these battery packs. And that's my recommendation when you're traveling. They're not that expensive. You can get them in all different sizes and styles. I carry like 2 medium-sized ones in my bag at all times, so that if I'm without an outlet, like Joff was saying before, I always have some way to charge my device. So that's kind of the second piece there. Is that one there, Carlos? Is that when you travel? You travel with these, right? Most of us do now.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yep,
travel
I
with
do
a
too.
16,000 milliamp battery pack. This will charge an iPad full and my iPhone twice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
tend to-
I'm the same way. I always travel with a battery pack.
Yep.
And mostly, actually, I started doing it because of longer flights.
Yes.
And you get on a flight, and the first thing you do when you get to a destination, as a traveling consultant, is you pull up your GPS software, and you're expecting your smartphone to be working, and so that battery pack becomes invaluable to keep the charge on your phone when you get to destination. So that's the reason I started doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes I carry a smaller one too with me, so that if while I'm at the conference I need to charge my phone, like while it's in my pocket, I can just put the battery pack in my pocket with a cable and charge it while I'm at the conference. Because when you're at a conference, I tend to find that your signal strength is really low, which causes more strain on your battery trying to get a signal. So your battery life is going to be worse at a conference than it is in your office or your home. And then you're going to be like, oh, I need to plug in somewhere. So traveling with a battery pack certainly is awesome.
I have been known in high density areas to just go ahead and switch my phone into airplane mode for a while.
Yeah.
Turn off the radios and just save battery.
There you go.
Because they're fighting for signal all the time, and there's a lot of contention. So
never ever go to a URL. This is number 12 that someone tells you to go to, or sends you in a message, or has in a 3D barcode anywhere at the conference. There was one year at DEF CON where just as a social engineering experiment, like people just put up like random 3D barcodes for people to scan, and like they'd put an image of Goatsy on your phone or something like that. But that could be something nefarious.
My favorite one was in one of the DerbyCons. Samsung announced a bug that would actually almost brick your phone. And I remember somebody was smart-ass enough to kind of print out the QR code to the link with the exploit and started taping it to the different walls all around DerbyCon.
Jeez.
Hoping for people to scan the QR code. And if sadly you were one of the guys that actually had one of those printable Samsung phones, you were in for a bad day.
Yeah. iOS has vulnerabilities like that as well. I don't know if it's a link, but it was an SMS kind of thing. So yeah, don't ever do that.
Don't scan QR codes.
Yes,
it's really
exactly.
like a default rule.
Number 13, don't ever leave your badge unattended at the conference. And I mean, this varies per conference, but your badge is the access into the conference, obviously. And they're a hot commodity at a conference. And a lot of times at some of these conferences, they're like a piece of electronics and not very easily replaceable, and it can lead to a bad day. So, and if at the various conferences, like your badge could have different levels on it. Like when you get to the larger conferences, like Black Hat, for example, I'll use Black Hat as an example. There are different levels. So the press badge can get you access to the press room, and it can get you access to the conference area during normal conference times. It doesn't get you access to the talks. A regular conference badge gets you access to the vendor area during approved times and all of the talks, but not the press area. Now, a vendor badge, for those of you that may have not worked for a vendor in the past, right? If you've got vendor on your badge, that gets you access to the vendor area at all times. It doesn't, like a setup times and all that stuff, where the vendor booth space is unattended. And so they're providing some level of security by doing that so that attendees can't go into the vendor area when you're not at your booth and like steal stuff, which we've talked about already in these scenarios. So protecting your badge not only protects you, but protects other people at the conference as well. So it's a twofold kind of thing. So never, ever like leave your badge anywhere where someone can take it. I don't know if you guys have commentary on that, or I've never lost a badge that I can think of.
I keep it firmly around my neck.
Yep.
Of course, there are friends of mine, notably people right here on this podcast right now, who who are apt to jump on me physically and try to remove it. I agree with that overall statement.
Absolutely. This number 14 is really specific to mostly DEF CON, right? And other conferences too. But when I'm at DEF CON, I don't use the ATM. Right? Like, that's just a generally bad idea.
Yes. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I still remember DEF CON 17 when we were at the Riviera, and all of a sudden there was one ATM, and the next morning it wasn't there.
Yes.
I still remember those.
Yep. Either someone stole the ATM or the hotel took it out because someone was hacking it.
The hotel took it out because
any of those little standalone ATMs that are connected by like an Ethernet cable to some hotel network, just steer away from
them. Yeah. Go to, basically, if you need to have cash on you, use an ATM before you get to the airport, or maybe even at the airport that you're leaving from, and get enough cash that will last you. I mean, cash over the past 15 years or so since I've been going to conferences and stuff, not as much as of a requirement. Still is, depending on where you're going. Most places, especially like cabs, and then you have Uber now, right? So it's less of a requirement to have cash, but you should have some cash on you, certainly. As we know from traveling, all of us on the show and many of us listening know that when you travel, sometimes your credit card company is like, oh my God, you just left the country or went to some place and we're going to disable your credit card. So having cash is good.
Yep.
Cash is good. Always travel at least a couple $100, general rule of thumb, of cash on you at all times. And I remember selling T-shirts at conferences as early. The first one we did that was actually ShmooCon 2006. And over time, people were like, I don't have cash. That became more and more of a thing, right? Where it basically forced us to say, if we're going to sell something at a conference, we have to take Square. And even then, people were skeptical, and rightfully so. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all for that. But yeah, so that's the whole thing about ATMs and money and stuff. One thing that I thought was interesting, number 15 on my list, was actually our good friend Josh Marpet and Sam, our operations manager, who now goes to a lot of conferences with us this year. In the future, she comes to conferences with us. And Sam is great. Operations manager, has a background in accounting, not computer security, right? And, what Josh said is basically, Sam, and anyone, it doesn't matter, male, female, whatever, age, doesn't matter. If you're coming to a conference, have other people's cell phone numbers on you at various, in varying degrees, so that if you're in any kind of a situation, you can safely text someone or call someone, provided you have your phone, which was covered in the previous segment. Have your phone and call someone and get out of a situation or whatever. And Josh was like, Sam, we're going to give you numbers of trusted people within, our circle. I totally trust Josh Marpet. Sam should have Josh's phone number. So if Sam's at a conference, I know that she can call or text Josh, and Josh will come get her or help her out of a situation. But that goes for anyone, right? Have each other's cell phone numbers in and readily available on your phone in case, you're like, I lost my wallet. I can't find my room. I have too much to drink and require assistance. I can't find my pants. I'm stranded at a party / strip club / gas station / underground poker tournament. I've been arrested. There's a dead hooker in my room.
I'm in big trouble.
Right. I'm trapped in an elevator. I can't find the party. I've been kidnapped by ninjas. The scenarios just go on for a long time about you need trusted people's numbers in your cell phone to call if you're at a conference or just traveling in general, especially to a conference in mixed company. So
yeah, it's the phone a friend thing, right? And we all, those of us who know each other in the community, we absolutely all respect each other, and we would do anything that we could within our power to help you out. So it's important.
Have people you trust in your. Because we've all, sometimes you have too much to drink and you can't find your room. And
No, that's never
you want a
happened to
friend
us,
you
has
want
it,
a friend to
Paul?
help you back to your room, right? Like that happen. It happens. Everyone runs into those scenarios, especially at HackerCon. You're in a mixed environment and whatever, and drinking and having a good time, and you can get out of hand. Certainly, we've all been there. But have a trusted person in your cell phone for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. In my case, one of the things I have to remember now is to always carry with me my passport. After my last experience at DerbyCon, where a security guard kept saying, "Show me proof of citizenship." I show him my driver's license. Says that's fake. So, given the political scenario,
Yeah.
I think that's another thing I'm going to carry.
That's interesting. So, Carlos, in my case, I have two passports. So it would be pick the passport, but in the United States, I'd probably pick the U.S. passport, of course. But
Yes, I agree,
I
Joe.
think that's definitely a relevant comment, given the political situation of today. I think that's
I agree.
relevant.
Dude, recently, a Puerto Rican ICE arrested him and was trying to go through the process of deporting him. After 24
What?
hours, they
As a
figured
Puerto
out that,
Rican,
oh, you're a U.S. citizen. Crap. And they let him go.
Not good. Number 16. On any device you bring to the conference, make sure it's up to date. Now, that's not saying you're not going to get hacked, right? But my advice is like an exercise that I'm just like, it's like second nature at this point because I've been to so many security conferences. Like, no matter how late it is and how early I have to get up. So the conferences, and Keith, who I don't know if he's still here, and Mark, and Riley, and Sam, and all of us that have been to 4 conferences in just over a month. And some of those, 3 of those were actually in Boston, and one was in Orlando. I think all of them we had to be up really early, right? Like for Boston,
God.
we were up. So for those that don't know geographics and logistics, in Rhode Island, to drive from Rhode Island to Boston, well, it's only like a less than an hour drive to get to Boston.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah, but dude, traffic is like insane. So to beat the traffic, like you have to be. My rule with the crew now is if we're going to Boston on a weekday, you got to be on, like, leaving the parking lot here at the studio by, like, around 5 a.m. And that includes time to stop at Dunkin' Donuts right before the highway so we can get coffee, breakfast, whatever we need, and drive to Boston. So, like, legit, you're up at 4:30 in the morning. And even the night before, I'm like, I know I have to be at 4:30 in the morning, but it can be 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, force a habit, I got to make sure that my phone, whatever device I'm bringing, if it's a laptop, if I have to present, has to be up to date with the operating system, all software, the whole thing. Yep. I go through the check. I make sure all my wireless is disabled, like all that stuff. But in this case, number 60, make sure all of your stuff is patched before you go.
And not only that, disable all services that you don't need. One of the neat tricks I like to do in conferences is do an MDM enumeration, the multicast domain enumeration.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that years ago, Carlos. That's still valid, though. Yep.
A lot of people think, oh, I'm so secure, I have my firewall on, and they forgot that when they enable, for example, remote whatever on their Mac, all of a sudden it's going to appear to the entire network. Like VNC, SSH, you're announcing those protocols, and they don't know that their machine's actually publishing that. Same thing happens with Windows 10 and Windows 7, starts publishing to the network. Hey, I have a chair, I have this open. Make sure that you go in, is my firewall enabled? Yes, no. What are my services? Do I need to disable any that I probably use at home, but I'm not going to need here?
Yeah, absolutely. That is, I go through that as well. Just go ahead and make sure your firewall is properly configured, that your services are set up properly in a restricted manner. Because and frankly, I got to the point where I don't turn on wireless or Bluetooth adapters at all when I'm at a conference if I can help it.
Yep.
Because it's just too risky. There's so many exploit vectors out there. So Better,
number
better stay safe.
17 is interesting. Dave Kennedy was actually just talking about this on Facebook, and we're running this segment on the show. Dave was like, hey, like this morning I got an in-app message in Facebook that said I need to update. Like, he's like, that's weird. And so my thing was, like, if an application's acting funny and giving you error messages that you don't expect, an SSL certificate error, God forbid, that's bad, or just doing anything that, like, you think is not normal, either, like, right before or especially while you're at the conference, like, don't, first of all, like, don't click on that, close the app. And Dave actually takes the extra step, which I appreciate, and I think he's right. He's like, wipe your phone. Like, right there, like, wipe your phone. Like, that's it. Like, it's done. You got a funny message on your phone. If you're at a conference, like, that's game over. Like, that's something funny is happening.
Just wipe it. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of a story of Martin Bose, Pierre Hayde, and Bravo Hacks. They went over to a specific country, and while they were waiting in customs, Bravo Hacks did the error of having his Android phone to auto update, and as they left Japan to this other country, and all of a sudden they made sure their phones were completely updated. And as soon as they landed, Bravo Hacks' phone, Skype, Google Hangouts, all communications apps in his Android got updated all of a sudden suspiciously.
So that's interesting, Carlos. So and Dave was talking about this, like, I set my apps to auto-update, thinking that it's more secure. But now I'm really questioning, like, that's a bad idea then.
Well, back in the old days, probably, because the only checks that were happening were for some of the SSL certificates, and if the application was properly signed. But as we know, getting a code sign certificate is not that difficult. If you have $500, you can get one. Or and when we're talking right now about countries going one after the other, and we're talking about SSL, one of the things to consider is when you go over into your list of authorized CAs, you're going to find the government of China, you're going to buy the Hong Kong Post Office, you're going to find all kinds of people that are already trusted CAs in your machine. Yeah. So probably having that code signing certificate is not enough to probably protect your device from a malicious actor.
So what if we were to auto-update, but then the night before we're going to the conference, turn off auto-updating and be like,
that would be a good that would be a good process.
Yeah, I think that is a good strategy, because, you know, if you're in it's sort of OPSEC, right? If you're in an unknown environment, best not to take the risk, right? Just turn off the auto-update. And wait till you're in an environment you can trust.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, you guys remember the tool that a guy from Argentina wrote, which was the what was its name? That allow you to intercept updates.
What was that software called, Carlos? I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and I remember. I know the guy was from Argentina who wrote it, but now the name of the tool is escaping me. Those tools are out there, and people can actually buy certificates nowadays easier than ever. And one of the things probably would be look if your apps support certificate pinning and use those.
Yep.
And trust those more than others.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting
that's interesting. Certificate pinning is something that's not widely advertised in the app, right? You don't really know, like, it's a browser or whatever. It's like there's no way to really know that certificate is pinning is in effect. So and certainly for the update apps, you don't know.
At least with Windows, you can do it via Emmet. Emmet will allow you to do certificate pinning rules for everything that you use with Edge or Internet Explorer. The only problem is that then you're limited to Edge and Internet Explorer.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't help you with your phone.
Number 18, passports, credit cards, or any other cards with RFID should either be left at home. Now, your passport, you can't leave at home, right? But, like, think about your OPSEC when it comes to any RFID-enabled system. Have a passport or RFID shielding wallet, or leave that in the safe if it's something you don't need while you're at the conference, but be aware of the chips and active technologies that are in your credit cards, passports, and things of that nature, your access cards. And what's interesting is I have it was John's brother, actually, Brian, that was asking for recommendations for a wallet. And I love the Travax wallet. In fact, we'll probably run a segment about like everyday carry stuff that I carry with me all the time, which I ran on my cigar show, and I want to run here in the context of security. But the Travax wallets like claim some kind of RFID shielding. However, if my access card, like for the cigar lounge next door, which is RFID, is in that wallet, it still works. So while I love the Travax wallets, is my recommendation for that for a wallet. When you travel, you might want to consider other options or other ways to obfuscate your RFID signature on your passports, credit cards, and in access cards.
Well, see, that's an interesting topic, Paul, because I've carried a wallet for probably a decade now that is an RFID shielding wallet. And to be honest, I've never actually tested it to see if it actually works, right? And I've trusted that, the little copper coil in there, in this case, it's a leather wallet, actually functions.
They do work. They do work. Someone gave me one. Can't remember his name. He's going to be mad at me, but he's a great guy. Gave me one to test, and it did work. And so now that I think about it, like inside of your pocket, I could actually keep an RFID shielding like pocket. It was like a pouch, right, that has RFID shielding on it. It was made by a company. I'm sure you could probably find them. And the Travax wallet's really small, so I could drop that. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to drop that in my pocket and keep that in the pouch so that when you use your wallet, you take it out of the pouch and then put it back in so that all of your stuff is RFID shielded. And I actually tested that, Joff, and it did work to shield any RF communications.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, the other one a lot of people don't realize is the one you just mentioned, and that is passports these days do have RFID transmitting chips in them. Now, there's one surefire way to fix that, and that's a hammer.
People were microwaving them or microwaving credit cards way back in the day.
But that's not necessarily recommended. Some people take offense to that, and some governments don't like that, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
But it is a surefire way to fix it. But I think
U.S.
just
Customs
as you
is one that
said
takes
with the
very big offense.
The shield idea, like if you have a pocket that you could put the passport in that had a shield around it, then you can effectively do the same thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I have to say, U.S. Customs is one that really takes big offense if you microwave your passport.
I gotcha.
It is a visit to the room with the table, with the metal table and the gloves.
The metal folding chair in the room with just a light hanging, like just a light bulb hanging from an electrical wire.
I've been in that room several times, and they don't have a single light, but I can tell almost always it is galvanized steel or aluminum table where they take you in. I really like the idea of the pouch because I tend to go and use a front pocket wallet. Is what I use. I have one from Recycle Firefighter, which is made out of recycled fireman hoses.
Yeah. I've heard of that. Yeah.
And I like the idea of the pouch because I really like this wallet that I keep in my front pocket. Now that, sadly, I'm approaching my 40s and it turns out that I have osteoarthritis on my hips, I can no longer keep a wallet in my back pocket without feeling it at the end of the day, feeling some pain.
Now, Carlos, you're the one that turned me on to tactical pants from 511 and Blackhawk. And I always keep my wallet in one of those pockets in those tactical pants when I go to a security conference. And they have more. They actually have some pretty stylish ones now. So it doesn't look so much like they've come a long way in terms of style and function. I think there's a lot of options. And I always keep it in the side pocket as well. I haven't carried a wallet in my back pocket like the George Costanza like Seinfeld episode.
I've been a front pocket guy forever, but what you're seeing on the screen is the world's smallest violin, as I am now 50. So whatever,
there you go,
fellas.
In my case, sadly, osteoarthritis started with me early. So
That's
Well,
that's a
I
real-
mean, and people kind of make fun of like the tactical pants. They're like, why are you wearing tactical pants? Like, you're not in the military. I'm like, my other option is like a fanny pack. Like, come on now. Like, if your choice is tactical pants or fanny pack, like, come on now.
now after doing a Grok Tough, my favorite pants have to be the triple AUG pants that they sell, especially the AC ones, the aquatics.
Oh, you're going to have to send me that
dry
one,
super
Carlos.
fast, they're super light, and especially when you're packing, since they're like hiking pants out of nylon, they're super
Yay,
light,
hacking
super thin, so I
pants.
can pack them.
I want
can pack
hacking
two of
pants.
them.
That's awesome.
That's
It's
fabulous.
hacking time. I'm going to put my hacking
yeah.
pants on.
Well, with all of their pockets, you can pretty much pack whatever
You
you
can put a
want in them.
Raspberry Pi right in one side, right? Like smartphone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get a beagle bone in the other
That's right.
side.
I love it.
Hacking pants,
Hacking
baby.
pants. They come with a Raspberry Pi in the pocket. And so the last two that I have on my list, 19 and 20, are related to your hotel room when you're staying at the conference, which I thought was important to cover in this segment. So number one, out of two, in the last 19 and 20, right? Never tell anyone your room number, and never write down your room number on your key or anything like that. And I have like,
Unless she's
like
hot.
I have like very vivid memories of people who did social engineering attacks to figure out what room number I'm in. My like room phone ringing at 3 a.m. at ShmooCon. Thanks, Trent. And so, like, never give anyone your room. I mean, this is just like personal security. Male, female, doesn't matter. Like, never give anyone your room number. Guard your room key, and never like write down, because I mean it is something to remember.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like what your room number is, especially the first night. You know, you come off a plane, and how many times have we done this, right? Come off a plane, you check in, and your friends are texting you, and you go to the bar, and you decompress for a while, you have a few drinks with your friends you haven't seen in a while, and you drink, and then you go back to your room, and you're like, what was my room number again?
Okay, so I have a memory trick here, Paul.
Yes.
Okay, for all those in the geek space, which is many of us listening, think of the nearest binary number to your room number. It is awesome if you get 255 or 256, right? It is doubly awesome if you get like 128, 129, 64, 63. These kinds of numbers are fantastic because you can remember them as binary numbers in a beautiful, beautiful way. So just a little trick, I'm just saying.
That's like the
And-
nerdiest thing I've heard in a long time, Joff, just in case you're wondering.
Well, I use
You know
that
what
all-
brought to me very vividly of being careful with my room number and everything is on one of the ShmooCons, I still remember somebody found out what was Dave Kennedy's room, and they went to the sex shop that was down the street, and they bought all of their dildos and all of the sex dolls and everything. And when Dave came at one moment to his room was completely plastered with all of that stuff in it. I don't want to imagine the face of the cleaning lady when she went in that day.
It's awesome. Speaking of the cleaning lady, so the other thing on the room thing, there's probably more than just two things here, right? If you've ever met Deviant and taken his class or seen his presentations, he talks about the device. And I don't know if he came up with the device or just talked about it in general. He's the one that, in my experience, popularized it, is basically like the metal device that you slip under the door of the room that pulls the handle from the other side.
Oh,
and
gee.
that's a scary. Now, when you're in your room, right, that's one thing. You can lock the deadbolt, and you can put the safety thing at the top. Always do that when you're in your room. However, at a conference, you're obviously not always in your room, and that can be scary. So lock the deadbolt, put the thing over. I always roll up a towel, one of the hand towels from the room, and put it in the handle, which makes it more difficult if someone's slipping a device under the door to pull that handle. And this is all stuff when you're in your room.
Yeah, when I got training for MPE, which is non-permissive environments, when I used to travel a lot to South America, one of the things that actually was taught to us by an instructor was to put a set of keys on top of the handle of the door. So if anybody came in and jiggled the door or tried to move it a bit or anything, those keys were going to fall and automatically give you kind of a small alarm that somebody was up to something. And sometimes they would recommend, some of these hotels actually put up a large metal plate on the night table or somewhere, or a glass plate. Take that glass
Something
plate
that'll make a bunch of noise,
under the handle and put a set of keys on top of it. So when somebody jiggles, now you hear that noise even louder.
Right.
Yeah.
And along those lines, when you leave your room, never leave your laptop in your room unattended, right? And this was popularized actually at Black Hat was the first time that I had learned about these attacks happening. And I think since then, when at least the major security conferences go to a hotel, hotel staff has actually been briefed on this attack, the Hotel Maid attack we talked about on the show many years ago. And essentially, like, if I leave my laptop on the desk in the room and I go to breakfast, lunch, or dinner or whatever, the maid goes in the room, opens the room, is cleaning the room, the door is open. You, not you, but someone else goes to the maid and says, "Oh, I need to just go in my room and get my laptop," and takes your laptop and steals it.
Yeah.
Very valid, absolutely valid attack. Now, much less frequently occurring because user education has persisted. However, don't trust that by any stretch of the imagination. Never leave your laptop in your room if it's not in the safe or with you. Right, because
absolutely.
And even in the safe, you have to be careful. I still remember the Gruck at, I think it was Black Hat or the DEF CON. He left his MacBook Air and a couple of other things. He put them in the safe, and he took a picture of the safe before he left. And when he came back, he compared the picture to when he opened the safe, and stuff had been moved. And he went like, "Well, there goes a MacBook Air. I'm not using that laptop anymore." Somebody got in, somebody fidgeted with the equipment. I know I have friends that actually go into his daughter's bedroom and he selects the weirdest, most strange nail polish, and he'll put a dab of nail polish on each one of these screws on his laptop. And so when he puts it in the safe and puts some stuff in it and takes a picture, also he has another visual that he can go in and check, because he says, "Dude, if anybody's going into my room and doing an implant on my laptop, I doubt that they're going to be carrying with them a case full of every type of nail polish."
Right.
With them. Cover against those screws.
Yep.
Good advice.
All good advice. Yeah, never. And so the other trick that I do as well, even if we're going out to dinner, right? Like typically at a conference, like you do your thing, you go back to your room, and you drop your stuff off, right, in your room, which could be your laptop or tablet or Chromebook, whatever, and you put it in the safe, right? Lock the safe, and we all know like safes have been broken into in a hotel, like they're not that great. They vary, but they're not that great in the room. I always, whenever I'm not in my room, especially at night when your room is not typically going to be clean, I don't care about turn down service, whatever that shit is, right? When I leave during the day, I take my laptop with me because I'm either presenting or I have my laptop with me. At night when I'm going out to dinner, I'll drop my stuff in my room, put it in the safe, and when I leave my room, I put do not disturb so that it increases the chance that the cleaning service or the maids aren't going to open my door. Right. So I always, whenever I'm not in my room, when my stuff is in there, electronics, that your do not disturb is there. That's another good OPSEC thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that recommendation, Paul. I'm the same way. If my stuff is ever in my room, the do not disturb sign gets put up. Just to avoid that social engineering opportunity that you just mentioned, where somebody's going to come by and go, "Oh, the maid's in the room. Hey, that's my laptop. Let me come in there."
Yep.
Or whatever, right? So, yeah.
In my case, I always carry it with me. I just put it in my bag and just go with it wherever I go.
And that's a valid strategy. I'm not. That's a valid. A lot of times though, when I'm going to dinner, like I just can't carry it with me, so I take the risk. I'll put it in the safe and put the do not disturb on the door. is my strategy. So
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's not always convenient, right? But like Carlos was saying, the golden rule is take your gear with you whenever you're not in the room.
yeah, it's actually one reason why like I got a Chromebook, because it's a lot smaller and more portable. That I want to see if it fits in one of my smaller bags, which is kind of like a fanny pack. It's a tactical fanny pack, but it's like a fanny pack, right? It's like a sling that I can stuff my Chromebook in that and take that with me when I go at all times. So I'm not carrying. Now, Carlos, like in job, like in even myself, like when you're teaching, you need a lot more gear. That's not always feasible.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm going to a conference, I'm going to present. I want to take a Chromebook, and I know I'm limiting myself in terms of the type of work I'm going to be doing at the conference, shorter conferences, shorter travel. I'll just take my Chromebook now as my strategy and keep it with me at all times, and it's a lot easier.
Another one is just to get a Pelican case and put a lock on it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, Carlos. I like that.
Get a lock.
that's
I
good.
have friends that travel with the. Oh, what's the number? It's 29 something, I think it is, which is the one that is the exact size for carry-on.
Yep.
And they'll just go into the room, put the laptop in, put 2 locks in it, and that's how they leave their stuff, their gear there.
I'd also get like another lock and lock it to something in the room so they can't take the case.
Yeah.
Right. Lock the case down.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in, they have to know lock picking, and they have to be good at it.
Right. Or if they want to come in and steal the case, that's another thing. But
Well, I mean, it's all about the usual thing, right? If you can delay somebody long
Right.
enough, more than likely somebody else is going to come along and go, what are you doing? You know?
yeah.
It all depends on what is your risk matrix. What are
Yeah.
you afraid of?
Right.
Are you afraid of somebody stealing your data, installing something on your laptop, or stealing your laptop? And your actions are going to be around those 3 different scenarios.
That's right. Yep.
Alrighty. With that, we're going to take a short break, come back, and talk about the security news for this week. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
All right.